Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. DC's blowing up right now, so potential really awesome Flash movie news that I'll explain in Flash Batman button crossover. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the Flash movie news, and then I'll talk about the Flash comic book stuff with Batman, because they just threw a whole bunch of bombs out there and you may not have read it, so I'll give a spoiler warning before I get to the comic book stuff because it was just released. So the big news for the Flash movie is that Robert Zemeckis is rising to the top of the pile to direct. You probably know that the Flash movie's been floundering lately. There's been all this talk about the Nightwing movie, the new Batgirl movie, the Aquaman movie's in the middle of filming right now, but there's been no talk about the Flash movie. They've gone through 2 other directors already. They're already working on another draft of the script, so it's like, when are we gonna get our Flash movie? So now it seems like the guy that did the Back to the Future movies, which is what he's most known for, is going to be doing the Flash movie, but it's not confirmed. He hasn't been hired yet. He's just one of the many directors they're meeting with, and would be a giant slam dunk if they're able to get him. Because not only is he a great director, but they just spent a whole bunch of time on this week's episode of The Flash making references to Back to the Future. It's such an iconic franchise that of course it shows up everywhere. Time travel is a big component of the Flash character, so of course the person who directed some of the most iconic time travel movies of ever would provide for some really fun Easter eggs doing a Flash movie.
Feels just like Back to the Future, which would make me Doc Brown.
You're not gonna give me some kind of letter, are you?
No, I will not.
So it's probably going to be a while before we find out about that. I would expect by the time we get to Comic-Con, they'll have something definitive to say, but usually when they sign someone, they don't wait to announce it. They just say, boom, we got our director, we're working on it. This is our tentative release date. This is what's going to happen. So I'll totally do a Flash movie update when we get more information about that. But the Flash button issue that everyone's going crazy about, it's Flash number 21, so it's a big Batman crossover. It mostly takes place in the Batcave, and it's all about this special DC Rebirth button, which is one of the MacGuffins of the entire series. They teased it at the very beginning last summer, and everyone immediately figured out that it meant that DC Comics was bringing the Watchmen characters into the main continuity, and that's kind of what DC Rebirth is meant to do. It's meant to fix their continuity by bringing back all these old big events. So during this week's issue, a whole bunch of really cool stuff happened with the characters, but one of the big things that it did was reference a couple of these really big tentpole events in DC's history and bring them back into continuity. So I'll explain the Easter eggs for that, but I will say careful for spoilers from the Flash number 21. So it actually starts out with a character called Johnny Thunder that you may or may not be familiar with. He debuted in the Flash number 1. He harnesses the power of a genie from the 5th dimension using this little pen here. That's where the thunder is stored. So what happened is that another character named Jakeem got that power around the early 2000s, which is funny enough when Jeff Johns was writing Justice Society, so he showed up during that title. And that's about the time that I started reading Jeff Johns. I actually started reading Justice Society the minute that he came onto the title. So he became the new version of Johnny Thunder, and like they have the 2 different versions of Wally West, this is kind of what they're doing with Johnny Thunder. So when he's screaming at the sky like this crazy old man saying, "Say you, the thunder, where's the thunder?" trying to get it back, that's the phrase that he uses to summon his powers, but they pull him back in. "Hey, crazy man, you need to be quiet. We need to up his meds." The main story, though, is all about the Flash, the button, and Batman's father from Flashpoint. So if you didn't read the last comic, what happens is Batman accidentally brings the button into contact with Psycho Pirate's helmet. And Psycho Pirate is one of those characters that retains memories from big universe-changing events. So like after Crisis on Infinite Earths and Infinite Crisis, big universe-altering things happen. And most of the characters like Superman, the Flash, all the main characters, they don't remember what happened before time was changed or the universe was changed or the multiverse, but Psycho Pirate does. So what happens is he brings the button into contact with Psycho Pirate's helmet and gets a vision of his father from Flashpoint. So he's getting a vision of a different reality because technically Barry fixed Flashpoint so that Thomas Wayne version of Batman shouldn't exist anymore. But along comes the Reverse Flash and tortures Batman, beating him up all over the Batcave before the Flash can get there to help him out. But by the time that he gets there, Reverse Flash accidentally touches the button, it zaps him away, then instantly he travels back and he's dead, and he says he saw the face of God. So as most of you have probably figured out since that very first DC Rebirth issue, the tease at the end of that is that Dr. Manhattan is the big villain of the series, and he somehow messed with time to cause all these weird changes that are happening now. So I love all the forensic science that goes on in this. Barry talks about how that's more important to him than his ability as a speedster when it comes to solving crimes, and his love for forensic scientists gives him this bond with Batman that he doesn't have with the other Justice League characters. He and Batman are detective bros, but what the Flash doesn't tell Batman is that he detects signatures of his own Speed Force on the button in the Reverse Flash. The radiation that he's talking about is probably the radiation that Dr. Manhattan gives off himself, and when the Reverse Flash saw God, he saw Dr. Manhattan, who then killed him and sent him right back. But the really big Easter eggs start to drop when the Flash goes to the Justice League Tower in their Hall of Curiosities, where they just store all the weird things that they get from the crimes that they solve. You see the Phantom Zone projector, you see Blue Beetle's vehicle, you see Martian Manhunter's costume. I know Martian Manhunter isn't around right now. People are like, he needs to be part of Justice League, he's a core member. So you just look around this room and there are Easter eggs from all over the Justice League's history going back to the Golden Age for adventures that they had. So the Flash unfurls the cover from the cosmic treadmill and says that he's going to time travel using it to try and find out what's going on. But he doesn't say exactly where he's going. And Batman's like, you're not going without me. And like when Batman says that he's time traveled before, he's talking about Final Crisis. Darkseid hit him with his Omega beams. It sent him back in time. And there was this big saga of Batman jumping around in time. So you get Caveman Batman. You get Batman who's a pirate. You get Batman across all the ages. And when they get to where they're going, it turns out to be Thomas Wayne's Batcave from Flashpoint. So Flash took them back to Flashpoint, which shouldn't exist technically, but as they're traveling, you see all these different realities sort of collapsing on themselves. It's 3 different eras of the Justice League showing you 3 different versions of the origin story. So what the comic book is doing, just like it's bringing Johnny Thunder back from the Golden Age, is it's making all these things part of the continuity too. So I believe this is the Silver Age version of the origin story from Justice League number 1. There's JLA Year 1, which was Mark Waid's 90s version of the Justice League origin story. There's a panel from Identity Crisis, and then there's this panel of the Flash dying during Crisis on Infinite Earths. I've actually used this a lot in some of the Flash videos that I've done for the TV show. So there's just all these historical events from really big moments that they're bringing back into continuity, and then Batman comes face to face with his father, and it's like, oh my god. The look on Flash's face here is so priceless. I love this. So let me know what you guys think about all this. This is just part 2. The story's going to continue. It's part of the big Button saga in the revelation about Dr. Manhattan. So there's still a whole bunch of stuff that they have to reveal, a whole bunch of other characters from the Golden, the Silver Age, and the Modern Age that they'll bring back into continuity. So I know it sounds kind of complicated, but just let me know in the comments what kind of comic book bonus videos you guys want me to do for stuff like this. I totally love doing comic book stuff every once in a while, but I understand that most of you just want movie, TV videos, so I try to do a balance of both. But congratulations to the latest giveaway winner, Joseph Rucka. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. You can click here to watch that Flash Savitar trailer, and you can click here for this week's Arrow and more Teen Titans. Thank you so much for watching. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.